So, what are your thoughts on some of the best evidences in the Milky Way which tell us that it is a plasmoid and not a black hole at the center of the galaxy?
The stars that orbit that so-called black hole in Sagittarius A star do so very rapidly, which suggests, if you're using gravity in your equation, that the mass at the center of the focus of that orbit is of the value they give, millions of suns, or maybe even billions. And that's only because they're using the wrong force. We're talking about electromagnetic forces. The other thing is that, as was pointed out, I think by Ed Dowdy, who's done valuable work on looking at so-called gravitational lensing, and pointing out that it doesn't make sense. He said that stars orbiting that black hole, particularly ones that may have an orbit that's tilted and passes either behind the black hole or very close to behind, should suffer gravitational lensing. I've seen no evidence of that in any of the telescopic observations of the Sagittarius A, and they've been following them now, so I think they've managed to observe a complete orbit of at least one star, possibly more. The other thing was that there was a report of a cloud of material that was due to be sort of torn to shreds as it went close to the black hole, and that didn't happen. Well, of course, we're not dealing with gravity, we're dealing with electrodynamics, which is at the heart of real physics. That's the fundamental physics of the universe, is electrodynamics. Gravity is merely a minor effect. We happen to live in an electrically neutral environment where gravity does have an effect that is noticeable, but even for us, it is so weak that the entire Earth can't stop us from jumping away from it, even if only for a second or so.
Well, one of the most important phenomena we've talked about for years on Space News is the pervasive filamentary structures, which we see everywhere in the cosmos. Filamentation, of course, is produced by electric currents traveling through plasmas. And on the question of what lies at the center of the Milky Way, over a year ago, we reported on the discovery of a 2.5 light-year long filament, which appears to reach directly to the center of the Milky Way. So how does this discovery relate to the plasma cosmology theory of a plasmoid at the centers of galaxies?
These filaments, and some of them are twisted, I believe also. They've seen a twisted pair of filaments heading into the Sagittarius A star region. The circuit that Hans Elfvén drew all those decades ago, the Nobel Prize-winning plasma physicist, showed that the current, it has to be a circuit. If you've got an electric current, it must be part of the circuit. And he showed that the current would flow in along the galactic arms to the plasmoid in the center, and then out along the spin axes. And then at some distance, he didn't go into where the circuit was completed, but it was at some distance from the galaxy. Now, since he put forward that circuit, it's been discovered, of course, that galaxies seem to align their spin axes along what you might call cosmic strings. And they're beginning now to be able to map these strings and these connections between galaxies. Now, none of this makes any sense from the gravitational point of view.